What's up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, December 1st, 2018. I can't believe it's December. This video I'm really excited about. I've been spending a lot of time on the weekly charts on Bitcoin, comparing it to the last bear markets, and leading up to this point, it's proven more and more consistent, and so I've been covering it more and more. So in this video, I'm literally going to talk about not only the weekly chart zoomed out, but I'm going to take where we are present time and compare it to perhaps where we were at this point in the bear market last time. So we're going to start zoomed out on the charts, and this is the daily chart you're looking at. This is not the weekly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the daily charts zoomed in the 2015 timeframe and in the 2018, where we are now timeframe. And then we're going to actually go even further into where we are in the 2015 4-hour chart compared to where we are now on the 4-hour chart. Lots of similarities. Lots of things that I see harmonious between the two. I've been using that word a lot lately because it's just a great word between the markets and the cycles of the market. So let's jump right into the video. Let's talk about these things. I think in terms of technical analysis, if you're not using all of the historical data that you possibly can, along with technical analysis indicators and patterns and your traditional foundational instruments in terms of anticipating things, I think you're doing it wrong. So we're going to use that historical data. So to set the foundation to this video, in case you haven't seen what I've been doing on this zoomed out chart, it's a very simple zoomed out chart. This is a daily chart. We have this fall-in range in the last bear market that you see back here, right? So there's that, and we've been really comparing it to the fall-in range that we have in this bear market. And we're really approaching this long-term bottom trend line in Bitcoin. Now, I broke it down into really the movement of Bitcoin long-term into a cycle. I called it the cycle for Bitcoin because this is what we have historically. So historically, what we have is we have a halving, right? So here's a 2012 halving that you see all the way back here. And then we have new all-time highs around 1 year later, which you see right there. And then after that year, we fall into a pullback stage, a capitulation stage as part of this cycle, and it rounds out the cycle. So here's that capitulation stage and that pullback stage. So from there, leading up to the next cycle is the 2016 halving, right? So 2016 halving, again, a year later, all-time highs. And then from those all-time highs, we lead into the third part of the cycle, which is now the correction, the capitulation phase. And so the question is, how long is this going to go on for, and how low are we actually going to go in this phase? Everybody wants to know. But what we can do, instead of really guessing what the bottom is, right? Instead of really trying to predict the future, what we can do is we can take just this really nice picture of Bitcoin and its movements, and we can really prepare our portfolios long term. And I'm not a trader. I can definitely, I do trade, but I don't do it a lot, and I also definitely don't cover videos on it. But we can really, if we wanted to, take the technical analysis principles from these videos and apply it to trading. But in this regard, and in the context of this video, we're applying it towards accumulation and doing so comfortably. So if we're gonna do this, let's actually take that historical data and really dig into what it looks like compared to now. So this is the daily zoomed out. You see it, we just kind of talked about it. And this is really what we're going to do in this video. So this is zoomed out, and then we're going to zoom in on really this area right here. This drop into this range right here, right? Same thing in this market. We're going to focus in on these areas. We're going to look at the similarities. So let's just do it right now. We're going to start in 2015. So 2015, I'm sure I wasn't around doing technical analysis on Bitcoin, but I am sure people that were watching this were hoping that this was a support level, okay? This is the 2015 market. People were really probably hoping right here around $300, $320 was a support level. and we saw a capitulation phase, really the final bottom for Bitcoin in this time frame, when we fell into the bottom range. And we actually, we went down. You can see from that range, we actually hit a 50% on the downside. So nobody was expecting that, right? People were hoping for the best, and we fell into it. And probably a lot of people exited the market at the bottom. And I think that same type of thing is happening now, or will happen whenever the bottom is formed. We'll look back and we'll see a lot of people have left. So this is 2015, but let's take note of the synergy between then and now. So 2015, you can even liken this area of hopeful support back then around $320. You can liken it to $6,000 that everybody has been keeping an eye on. So this is the 2015 chart. Let's pivot over to the 2018 chart. So here is that $6,000 area that everybody was eyeing for support for a while. And now here we are. We fell through it, and we're in that very similar bottom stage for Bitcoin. We could go lower outside of this rectangle that you see on the screen. This rectangle of, it's not perfectly on $5,500. I probably should put it on $5,500 just because that's kind of what I've been talking about. So $5,500 down to around $3,500 is the range I was talking about for the last, probably 2 to 3 months leading into this area. This was my best guess in terms of a bottom range for Bitcoin. Could we go lower? Absolutely. But based off of historical analysis and data we have from the last bear market, based off of just general rules of how far away Bitcoin travels from, the 200 EMA alone, you can see right now from the 200 EMA, we are overextended 45%. That's quite a lot for Bitcoin. We just looked at this last bear market, and we can look at the final capitulation, how overextended we were, and we were 58%. We're not too far away from that number. So Bitcoin very overextended on the daily chart from the 200 EMA. This was my best guess for a bottom range, but really let's look at the synergies. This is really what I wanted to do in this video. So we fell through the bottom of that support, and we touched its first touch, right, for Bitcoin at the bottom of this trend for Bitcoin. Now going into 2018, we have a very similar move right down through crucial support 6,000 and just all the way down, and we touched, and for at least a short term, as we know right now, for like the last week, we have formed a short term bottom, right? We definitely can go lower. I'm not sitting here saying, we're going to follow the 2015 trend exactly, but it's all year long. It has followed the trend extremely well. So we have to use it, and we have to kind of discuss this, in my opinion, and keep it in mind for our technical analysis purposes. So that's the daily chart. You can see the synergy. Again, the last bear market, the overextension from the 200 EMA was a little bit more than 45%. What was it, around 50? What do we say? It was 58% or something. So that would bring us right around to a $2,700 Bitcoin. Could we see another lower low in that area? Absolutely. It's also, if you kind of zoom out on the charts a little bit on the daily, you can see $2,700 is also a lot closer to $2,700 right around here. It's a lot closer to a just long-term bottom trend line. So it's completely possible. Right now, we're in this mid to long-term bottom trend line, and we've seen a touch, right? We've seen this long-term wedge in formation. So let's cruise over to the 4-hour chart. Let's dig even deeper. So here's the same move on Bitcoin, but on the 4-hour chart. So here's that, this 320-ish area that we saw on the daily chart that we fell through. And here's that first capitulation that we hit. And you can see how Bitcoin bounced off of that, right? And we still had like months of bear market ahead of pretty volatile sideways type of trading. And you can really see it on this zoomed out chart. This is what I mean. This sideways in this bottom channel trading that happened in Bitcoin. So, but what it started with was this on the 4-hour. So here's a 2015 4-hour chart. You can see this rising wedge kind of pattern that Bitcoin bounced into. We have these higher lows, we have these higher highs, and then we have a break through it could have been a third touch to the top of this wedge, but we got a break through the top, right? Came and kind of tested it, and we got a nice little rise in the market. Now, zoom out on that 4-hour chart, and you'll see long term, Bitcoin eventually, we're zooming out a lot here on this 4-hour. You can see the volatility now. Bitcoin came right back down and tested that bottom again. So this video, although possibly short-term bullish, right, it remains in complete anticipation that we could do a similar type of move, and we have to be prepared for that volatility. This is literally the mental aspect of the game that happened in 2015. That is the mental aspect of the game. And you can just see it, right? From that first touch to the bottom to the top is 79% gains. And then over a course of months, it went down again, 28%, and then went back up, and then it went back all the way down, 45% losses. So prepare yourself mentally for that market. Find your accumulation approach that you want to use. You all know mine. That's why I do these videos. I'm not saying to follow mine, but I'm saying, find your own comfortable risk tolerance and risk entrance into this market and use it, right? I will never give financial advice on this channel, but this channel is really to show you my approach to the market and what I'm seeing on the charts. And I hope it can provide some value to you. So this is the 4-hour chart in the 2015 bear market. Okay, so we just took a look at the rising wedge, and I'm going to try and just zoom in on it one more time just so you can get a quick glance at it. So there it is, the rising wedge from that first touch on the bottom. Now let's look at the 2018 touch to the bottom, and you can see it. A very similar rising wedge, which we actually, we just did get confirmation of it not long ago. So we started tracking it when we had this first touch. We had a second touch to the bottom, and we were kind of coming up, and I think I did a video, right around here. And we were just looking to see, are we going to see resistance there where we form a second touch to form an upward trend line? You need 2 touches on the bottom, 2 touches on the top to form a wedge. Ideally, you want 3 touches somewhere, bottom or top, and 2 on the other side. But the rules apply. We got 2 touches on the top and the bottom, and you can see we have a wedge here. So the similarities, again, even on the 4-hour chart, very similar. The question is, now, as we're really actually in live time, right? There's no more data beyond this point. Now it's kind of like we watch, we wait, and we see. If history repeated itself like it did last time, we'd get a break through the top of this rising wedge. This is 2015, by the way. We'd get a break to the 2015, to the top of the wedge like 2015, and we'd see some gains, right? And we'd look for new resistance areas. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw that maybe 4 or 5 days ago I tweeted I think we were around $3,700, and I tweeted I could see a run happening to around $5,500. So that's what that would look like. If history repeats itself, similar to the last bear market, we get a break through the top of this wedge, right? And a possible run to around $5,500, which is kind of my short-term target of resistance. If that happens, time will tell. We don't know. We have to keep an eye out for it. If you go to, let's see, I want to go to the daily chart in Bitcoin, try and find a clean chart that we can just look at real quick. Just to give you some context on why $5,500 is kind of part of my resistance area. You can see $5,500 is right above the 50 EMA. So when I made that tweet the other day, we had the 50 EMA was literally like right at $5,500. So 50 EMA, you'll see it start turning around. If we continue in the short-term uptrend, you'll see it start leveling out. And this will be really this channel right here, 5,500, 5,400 will be that channel of resistance that I'll be looking out for. And again, only time will tell if we get there. What we can do is we can liken a move like that to, again, that last bear market. So bear with me as I kind of try and get to that area. And bear with me as also I try and clean up this incredibly messy chart. So $5,500 today is the 50 EMA of resistance that we're talking about. Now you'll see when we got that break out of the wedge in that bear market like we're talking about, you see right where Bitcoin hit its first resistance, 50 EMA, right? We're going to use the 50 EMA a lot in technical analysis as we try and work our way out of this bear market. Whether it's a month, whether it's another year, I don't know. But we're going to use the 50 EMA a lot. So you see that resistance at the 50 EMA there after nice gains off of the first touch to the bottom. And then similar to that, we would look for a similar type of resistance. If we can break out of this wedge, we'd really look at this 50 EMA for resistance. So I know short term, this sounds like a bullish video, Dan. It sounds like you're saying we're going to, follow 2015 trends, but I'm really, it's something I'm keenly watching. But really in the short term, we have some challenges. You see this first off, resistance area around 44.18, right? So that's that previous touch to the top of this rising wedge. And really what we need right now for Bitcoin on this 4-hour rising wedge is to see higher highs, right? Whether we get a break through the next touch of the rising wedge or we come back down and we get the break here, in mid-December, that's up in the air. That's why we watch the charts. But right now, our first area of resistance is really just this 4,400 area to see if we can even make another higher high in this wedge. Because right now, you can see we might actually not even break that area, right? This wedge might completely fail to the bottom, and we might be testing the previous low of around $3,400, $3,500 sooner than later. I have somebody in our social network that messaged me, and he's like, hey, do you see a head and shoulders potentially on the daily chart, on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart? And I said, and he actually messaged me probably like right around here. There was no right shoulder. And I said, not yet, but there's a right shoulder potentially in formation if we don't get really a higher high. So right now you can see here's the head and shoulders potentially on this 4-hour chart. There's the left shoulder, here's the head, right? And here's the potential right shoulder in formation. So if we come back down to this trend line, be very aware around this, right now around $3,900, $4,000 area to see if we hold support and just get a touch for a new higher low. If we don't, we could get a potential break to the downside through this neckline that you see on this head and shoulders. So a break to the downside would really be the height of the head to the neckline right here. And really the breakout target for that would literally be our previous low for Bitcoin. And we could really be testing the $3,400, $3,500 area. So it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me how Bitcoin is moving so similar to the last bear markets. And so many people are ignoring that. A lot of people are ignoring that. I browse around TA videos on YouTube. I really appreciate everybody that's doing TA out there. I appreciate everybody doing it. And I wouldn't say they're bad at it, but I'm surprised that not as many people are referencing the data that we have for that last market. I know markets are different. I know, the media is covering Bitcoin differently. I get that. But at the same time, humans and emotion are still driving the market, right? And if we have a picture of what the cycles of Bitcoin kind of look like throughout the history, the lifetime of Bitcoin, I think it's extremely valuable information, and I'm going to continue using it. So those are my thoughts. Really, I would say this is kind of an in-depth technical analysis in terms of time frames. Using time frames is huge to really gauge cycles, to really try and gauge bottoms and be prepared for bottoms. But like I said, if we break the bottom of this wedge as opposed to run up to break the top, if we break the bottom of this wedge and we're testing this $3,500 area again, you better believe the potential to break through this longer term wedge that we have on the screen to really test this area, which is, in my opinion, extremely a huge opportunity for many investors. I don't know if we'll get there, but the possibility is there. I just want to throw that out there, okay? We do technical analysis so that we can anticipate things, that we can mentally be prepared for things. I remember playing baseball, and like one of the earliest things I remember learning playing baseball when I was younger is no matter if you're pitching, you're playing shortstop, wherever you are, when the batter is up there and the pitcher is pitching, if you say you're at shortstop, you're just literally standing there and you're anticipating scenarios. What can happen next? If he hits it to me, what am I doing? If he hits it to right field, what am I doing? Right? That's exactly what technical analysis is all about. If this happens, what will I do? And we have the extra benefit of having historical data that might be able to give us a sense of maybe this has a better chance of happening, and it kind of increases our confidence. But at the end of the day, we have to be prepared for every scenario. So that's why I do these videos. That's why I do technical analysis. And this is fun right now. This is a crazy fun time to watch in Bitcoin. We've been talking about this all year long in this bear market, and things are getting crazy. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of the channel. Especially, I just want to get everybody ready. We're going to enter a bull market eventually, and I want everybody to be here. I want to have some fun with it. I would love to have you as part of the channel, so please subscribe. Hit that like button. As always, I will see you in the next video, and God bless.